What's going on, guys? You got Kwasi here for Kwasi Animation Studio, Kwasi Media Network. We're talking about Human Generator, and this is going to start with version 3, and then we'll work our way to version 4 beta. This is not a beginner tutorial for Blender. This is not a beginner tutorial for texturing and all that. So if you already have the add-on loaded up, Blender file saved, let's open the tab. All right, so when we look at the male, we get multiple selections. We look at the female, same thing. So we'll just generate a real quick guy. As you can see, it generates a name by default. Turn the render mode on. Even the women have a top and a bottom, the males a bottom. There is a little ghost tab that says make human experimental. It allows the sliders to go further. Okay, so you click that and now you can see where these blue sliders, we come back here, they're not there, right? So it gives me a short version of them. And then you say, well, what's this popping up? Well, read it for yourself. It tells you about what the experimental is for. We're not going to use that right now. So you can randomize it. You can do individual things. And also when we start dealing with things like the face, I'll show you how you can take that further. So I'm just going to randomize this. I'm hit this a few times. And this is what I'm going to go with, right? I don't like the overweight part. I'm going to bring that down some because I feel like that's too big. So I'll close the body, the length. In version 3, everybody tends to come in at about 183 centimeters, which is really 6 feet, not 5'11". So like I was saying about the face, what I want to show you is on the face, you can randomize it also, and then you have a variation. So you can open this up and deal with the skull directly, or you can even randomize it by hitting this redraw random. And then the same thing for the eyes, etc., etc. It's something that I think would be pretty cool for making a character get to an extreme level or taking it further and getting a little bit more of a custom feel. So right now, I'm going to randomize this a few times. Let's just go through a list of things and just see what it looks like. Let me turn the bone overlay off. Okay, so we have this guy, right? So he's got the hard bump on the nose. Down here in presets, as you can see in the presets, there are several presets here. These are these variations, and then it's showing like Asian, Black, Caucasian, right? So if I push this up, you can see a change in his face, right? So this is at like 0.5. But if I come over here to the other one, you see what changes there. We go over here, see what changes there, right? So even so, if I relax this here, you start to see a change from the random. So we see that was on 1. What if I take and go to 2 and push it even further? Or 3 and push it even further? Or 4 and push it even further? You see how extreme you can get? I wanted to show you guys that you could play with these sliders a little bit and get a look that you want. Or something a little bit more wild. So we have that. Now watch this. So even so, I can come up here to the upper skull and I'm just going to randomize. The temples I take all the way in. The eyes. Let's see. You see how you can easily and quickly come up with some variations. Just like that. Open this up, make it a little wider, make the size a little thinner. I'm gonna take this to 0. Like even so with the mouth, that cupid's bow just does not want to go away. I'm gonna pull it back some. I think the offset is, there we go. Yeah, let's fix the offset and boom. So now I have a character that looks something specific to what I want, right? So there we go. So like I said, you can get really extreme on that. Okay, then let's look at skin. So here I can come down and I can turn on subsurface scattering. Most people tell you turn it, don't have that on just yet, just in case you mess around and have a computer that can't really handle it that well. And if you turn up the underwear, his underwear goes away clearly. Okay, so I tend to push it up to like 1.7 because we're not extra shiny unless we're just extra shiny. Then of course here you can see you can increase, you know, the saturation and the tone. You can get really red, hardly anything at all. I feel like on some level I could come up with a good skin tone for him. All right, close that. You have light and dark. I never really see a difference in the dark, but I definitely see the light. If we see that, you can see where the lightness is. But the dark spots, I don't never really see a change. You can give him freckles, right? It says splotches, which I guess you could say kind of breaks the skin up a little bit. I always add a little bit of that because this is a little break in our skin anyway. And then on this one that I realized, I believe changed in version 4 is you can add beauty spots, right? And you can give them to a certain opacity, and you can change the seed, right? So something to that degree or whatnot. Even age, you can make it really saggly and wrinkly, right? Uh, I won't mess with that just yet. And of course, you give him a facial shadow for his beard, right? I'm not going to use that just yet. Also allows me to deal with his eye color. So right now it's at a pretty decent number. I'm just take it down some more. And a trick I learned a long time ago is that the eyes don't are not always the exact uh, aren't exactly dead white. So I always bring it down a little bit. And then for the hair, so you have for the lashes, I noticed the like if I come to eyes, the eyes is it eyes? Yeah. So I realized for some reason in version 3 it changed. Maybe I need to upgrade it because you see it says there's an update available, but I believe that that's for. I know it's for version 3. I never upgraded my version 3, so yours may actually have a slider for this. But I noticed that if I click him and I just go to the particle system, I can look at the eyebrows and switch between which ones are there. So right now he's on this last one, and I can just look at which ones I would want. This is something I do. I'm not saying you need to do that. And then I just turn this off and turn that one on. Because once I do the completion of the process, it's done after that, okay? I'm going to turn on, I don't need bloom. I'm going to turn on screen space reflections just for his eyes. Something I do personally is I come over here to his eyes on the outer, and I bring this down to like 0.1 because it reflects sort of poorly in the light, but I'm not saying this anything with the add-on. It's just a personal taste. All right, so when we look at the hair, we could choose styles, right? So you got all of them, all categories of it, and you come up here and whatnot. Or you can go and just pick like curls, long, and no, you cannot interchange these together or whatnot. That would be cool, but that's not a feature in this one or the version 4 beta. So we're gonna go with the buzz cut. Okay. And then of course you have the material. So I can go between the eyebrows, the face, and the head hair. So here I can, I can change the color. I even can deal with if it's blue or whatever. You can go through a series of colors or whatnot. Excuse me. I can change the redness tone, the roughness or whatnot. I can even give him a salt and pepper hairstyle or whatnot. Okay. So you can also optimize this for cycles or leave it for Eevee. Okay, so the hair is done. Got all that set. All right, so now what I want to show you is I tend to just go back to solid mode because it's going to do the same thing anyway. And then I just turn the hair particles off because when it does this, it's going to turn it off anyway. And I'll just click his rig and hit. And that's something I do to know how to do this. And then just tell it to go ahead and process the character. So now the character is processed. Okay, it finalized. We'll go back into render mode. And I like to do this ahead of time, is where an expression and give him a facial rig. Now you don't have to because he does have the shape keys, but understand if you want to use ArtKit or something, you need the facial rig. So let's go ahead and add the facial rig. Okay, so the rig is there. I always say test it. You see you have an ArtKit tutorial. You can click that and it'll show you all the things you can do to use ArtKit, okay? All right, so we're gonna close that. I'm going to click his bones, and I just click one side, and I just move it to make sure everything's functional. Okay, same thing with the eyes. Make sure everything's working okay. All right, so remember, you can still use Rigify on this, but we're not going to switch that just yet, because once you do that, the clothing, options for the clothing will change, and then you have to try to revert that, and the hard part of trying to revert a Rigify rig is you have to have the original core armature. And if you delete this armature after the fact, it's going to mess you over. Don't do that. I say if you're going to create a Rigify rig, save this file, and then do a secondary save and name it _Rigify or something like that, okay?